Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Glad to be back. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you're there, and welcome back to the channel. I am F5 Penguin, new media broadcaster, technology advocate, all-around fun guy, I guess you could say. As we get patched in tonight, how is everyone feeling? It's been a long time. I have been all over the YouTube scene lately with a new game I was fully invested in, and that kind of took a lot of my time. But nevertheless, I am here, and if you've been catching all of the buzz, and how could you not have been? You are on a gaming stream. You've been catching the buzz. We are talking E3. That is today. That was also yesterday a little bit for EA and for Bethesda. How about Microsoft today? How about Microsoft today? Oh my goodness gracious. I should let you know, I'm F5 Penguin. You can find me all over social media up here. Up with those little buttons right at the top there. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Periscope, Blab, Instagram, Google+. Is that still a thing? They tell me it is. Every time I post a video, it goes to Google+. I guess that's a good thing. I am here today to talk a lot about, naturally I talk a lot, but specifically about a lot of things going on in the world, not only in the gaming industry, in E3, but there's something huge happening that I'm not sure I can exactly say what it's about in its entirety, but I can tell you that it's exciting. And what that is here is the reason this is happening today, and I've been alluding to it on Twitter for, I don't know, about 6 hours, that's when I found out, is there is a big thing happening with this show and this stream and where it might go. And this is kind of a pilot episode to that end. If this goes well and you all enjoy it, and as people file in here tonight, hopefully they will, I hope that this goes well and they sign me on to the bigger season-long show that should be happening. I read the guidelines and it was not so clear on if I could actually say what it's for. Just know it's for something huge and exciting and on Twitch, and I'm really honored and glad to even be a part of this, let alone to get it to the level where they would sign me on for a full season or for full time or whatever it might be. So cross your fingers and let's hope that that goes well. I also want to take a spot in a second to mention here, if you look at the link below, or not the link, but the little picture down at the bottom right, Gunner Eyewear. I'm telling you, if you want to save your eyes from digital eye strain, you want to go and check out Gunner Optics. I am telling you that it has saved me. It has, especially when I wear contacts. I'm in front of the computer for 18 hours a day some days, and my eyes get tired. I throw on a pair of Gunners, and I tell you, it's like looking through a whole new lens, quite literally and figuratively. They just have a yellow tint to them, and it removes that blue, that harsh blue hue, right? Everyone hates that blue hue. It removes that, and what you get instead is a more relaxed, easier on the eye feel to your computer screens. And if you have 4 of them like I do here in the studio, you will also have benefit to that as well. So go check them out at gunners.com. That's GUNNARS.com. That being said, on tonight's show, I mean, what else should we begin talking about? That's kind of the big news is, of course, E3, and that's been a staple in the industry for such a long time now. But specifically, the change in the dynamic that is E3 is something that needs to be talked about, and I think that we hit it on the head yesterday. And we've known this for a couple of months now as I get my mic back into place tonight, that the big thing is what is going to happen to E3 in the future. And what I mean by that is with the shift in press attending the event and the shift in not only press, but broadcasters like me attending the event or not attending anymore, and the shift in vendors not even having booth space. Big name vendors, Activision, Disney, EA, Electronic Arts, one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, they are not at the event. What does that entail for E3? And in the public eye, of course, E3 is not really phased. The ESA is not saying that they're phased, but the reality behind the situation is the better PC showcase from last year happened at CES. I was there. I saw it. It was incredible. And that gaming space, that PC computer space at CES is growing rapidly. They are having a huge focus on gaming. That showcase is getting ever big by the year. Will be the third year having it next January. And less people are attending the actual event, whether it be for reasons of not having big events happening at the event anymore, which we're seeing. EA can go outside the event even though it's during the same week, or Microsoft or Sony or any other company can announce things at any given time. Social media kind of changed the game. Live streaming changed the game. That's what I do. I'm a new media broadcaster, and I tell brands how to leverage new media, whether it be Facebook Live or Blab or streaming on Twitch or whatever, or their own live stream platform, whatever it might be. We're showing people how to do that. And IBM and HP and those companies are doing it. And we're seeing gaming companies do that. They're hosting their own events outside of E3. And they're realizing that press, 155,000 press, are not, they're attending CES. They're not attending E3. Less and less people are attending E3. And more events are happening around CES. So why not take the entire tech press team, everyone that's going to be in the tech media, while they're all in one place, just go ahead and put another gaming event. And that's what they're doing at CES. So I see the shift happening. Nevertheless, Game Developer Conference, GDC, and Tokyo Game Show are still there. And those are, again, trade-only events. You have not public-only events, but public events for fans, like at PAX. And they have a handful of events now. Where does E3 fit in? Some years they're industry only. Some years they have fan days. Some years they have, like this year, industry only, but kind of, and then the fan show. And what's the benefit? Couldn't you just get better seats sitting behind your couch or in the comfort of your room instead of actually having to go to the event, even as a fan? I want to make sure I say hello right now to Mr. Teal, and I want him to tell me if I can actually say what this is for. I'm not really sure, but he will be the person to tell me whether or not I can say that. And I want to thank Rush and ND and of course, Justin J. Dollar for joining me tonight amongst everyone else that's watching. So that's the question. E3 is, I love the event. I've only been twice, but I love the event and I want to go back, but finding the justification to actually go back has been the challenge. Where's the buy-in? When everyone is reporting the news, what value can you provide to companies that only want to present the news in the way they're going to present it and not really leverage new ways of doing so? So that's the kind of thing we've been battling. And I found it fascinating that more so for Microsoft, they are taking, and I love the idea of it, they are taking all of their developers and their employees and their fans and their hardcore rooters for E3, and they're putting them front and center at the Gallon Center on the floor. And press get the seats in the back. And I think that's amazing for a stadium that fits, I think it's like 8,000 people. You want to have everyone involved that loves your product rooting and cheering and hollering for you. That's what a press conference is. It's about hype and about getting things up. What's up, Maxwell? I apologize. I didn't see you chat, so I didn't see that you were there. And I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll take a second since Mr. Teal said I can talk about this. This is a pilot episode for something that the Xbox ambassadors are going to be doing on the Xbox Community Ambassador channel on Twitch. If this goes well, I might have a chance of doing something cool with the whole team. So that's why he's here, and that's why I'm doing what I do, and that's why I've been doing what I've done for almost a decade now in the industry as a press guy and as a all-around knowledge base in doing this for so long. So I'm excited. I really am, because this could be something really, really something I'm passionate about, and I love Xbox and I love the Microsoft team, and that's just like a nice match made in heaven there. So I'm looking forward to that. Beyond the fact that, you know, my other show, F5 Live, is sponsored by Microsoft as it is on a different level, on a business level. This is a personal and community level that I really want to drive into. So that's really exciting. And Rushpock nails on the head. E3 is like a football game, right? So much better to watch at home because you can kind of just get a wrap of everything that's going on. You don't have to wait 7 hours to get 3 minutes of gameplay. And sometimes it's not even you playing, it's the developers playing. And that was frustrating for so many levels that I spent a lot of time just dealing with the press conferences and the after events, because it felt like a waste of time being on the show floor for thousands of dollars it takes to get out there with your team. To be on the show floor wasn't really valid or reasonable for us, because you can do other things and network a lot better and really get better conversation from real people outside of those events. As my good buddy right now, Hip Hop Gamer, is currently behind the stage at the Sony E3 event right now. I'm not surprised by that. Shout out to Hip Hop Gamer, really good guy. As that went off on my phone there. And yes, Jeff is watching too. And thank you, Jeff. You're a good man, Starwood84. So E3 is an interesting thing. I will say, though, I believed in Phil Spencer when he told me on Twitter, not me, but everybody on Twitter, hey, E3 this year will really be about the gamers. And I remember 2 years ago, I think you all remember this, Sony said, hey, the PlayStation 4 is for the gamers, and we're going to be gamers. And I'm very analytical about what people say. I was analytical about some of the decisions the Xbox team made when they kind of pivoted completely into a new direction with the beginning of the Xbox One. So Sony said they're for the gamers, and they didn't follow through with half of what they said they were going to do. But we're very quick to point out other companies not doing the same thing, but skirting by them not being accountable to their own words. And things like the backwards compatibility for Sony and their new cloud services and their new gaming services online being so fragile outside of the social attacks and the security attacks that they've had. This event for Xbox was the defining moment for the console. And did they not open it up with a bang? Did everyone enjoy that? I was super impressed, and even though it was leaked, it was still a great way to open the show with the new Xbox One S. And I can't be the only one to tell you that I'm going to be buying one as soon as I can get my hands on one, right? Like that's what kind of everybody's going to be doing, right? Is they're going to want one of the quieter, faster, sleeker, slimmer, smaller, everything consoles for their room. I want that. Yeah, wasn't it, Maxwell? So I didn't have a chance to watch it live. I caught it about an hour and a half late. I remember that one chick repeating that when they were talking about ESO, and it was hysterical. I'm like, wow. So what type of person is that? Is that a fan, or is that an employee, or one of the hardcore influencers, or who was it that was doing that? And if it was a developer, I'm on board with it, because I think that's amazing when developers get vocal about their product and really take that to shine. But if it was a fan, it's like, okay, we kind of got it. You're really excited about the product, but let's move on, right? Oh man, that was funny. I do remember that. So that's happening, and there's like 8 things that Xbox is doing with the Xbox One that I think, hype queen, it's so true, that I think make it a differentiating factor this holiday season for anyone that hasn't bought an Xbox already. And we know the numbers are behind in the Sony Xbox race. But what's good for the gamer? The gamer is important, and they finally, I feel like Microsoft has been saying it for a while, but now they fully committed into it 100% without question. And they proved that with Xbox Play Anywhere and crossplay. And I think that is so important. And I've talked about this on this broadcast, on my main broadcast, on Twitter, anywhere you see me talking about gaming from a fan perspective. I have told you that it was super important for Windows 10 to be the core that drove the Xbox One. And people as far as the administrator for League Gaming, Tris10, did not see the value until I showed him what it can do. And what it can do is put your app in many places. But not only apps, for gamers, it puts your games in many places. And I think that's what's so important, is the fact that Xbox Play Anywhere literally allows you to do that. Right now I have in my office a laptop, my Xbox, and my computer. Out there, I have my Surface, and I have tablets. I can literally start playing on my PC. My Xbox finishes downloading an update. I can go play on my Xbox. I can pause that, take my Surface to the nearest pub or favorite eatery, and go play there. The same game. That's incredible. your gaming experience doesn't have to stop, and it doesn't have to be in that weird handheld device way where, yeah, you can kind of play, but not really. You only certain modes, and you have to save it a certain way and export it. It was just a mess. Now you can literally just pick it up and play. How great is that? And the crossplay, the ability to cross-platform play your games with your favorite people. My number one conundrum when it comes to gaming is, am I going to buy the game for Xbox One or am I going to buy it for PC? And if it's like a massive AAA, they call it, well, you know, Rush, the thing is, we have what they call snowbirds here, and it's people that come down just for the seasons. They come down for the winter and they leave. We have such a mix of tourists and snowbirds and different people that they do open pubs down here because they're run by actual Brits or they're run by actual people from up north, and they call them pubs. Otherwise, what would they call them? A distillery? What else? Brewery? And I fully believe, by the way, fun anecdote. Pubs have only been called pubs because people were too drunk to pronounce brewery. Think about it. You're 3 sheets to the wind, okay? You're not saying, let's go get another drink at the brewery. You're saying, let's go get another drink at the pub. And it's like they hiccuped at the same time. That's where pub came up. A bar? No, pub. I've always called them pubs. I don't understand. Like an American. Oh, Maxwell, you're funny. So yeah, my number one conundrum was, what do I buy? Do I buy it on the Xbox? Do I buy it on the PC? Like Metal Gear, I bought it on the PC. I bought Fallout on the PC. Rocket League, I bought on the PC because it came out first on the PC. Battlefield 4, I have on the Xbox One. I have NHL, obviously, FIFA. Those games I play on the Xbox One. What if I can just take my game and Chunk F5 Penguin could be a great character. It could be. I do like 2 accents. And one of them is like a terrible version of Borat. And the other is, I don't know, it just turns into Russian. So Drunk F5 Penguin could be my third persona, I suppose, if you want to call it that. But the ability to play, and the good example is Rocket League, across platforms is incredible. No longer do you have to be like, okay, what do I want to play this on? You just play it on what you want to play it on. And I found it fascinating. There's always these little jabs that go back and forth during E3, and they send one way, and another company sends it back to Microsoft, and it goes back and forth. I thought it was fascinating. They said cross-platform is available on these games for any platform that supports gamers and that supports the ability. And I thought that was fascinating because if you recall back a couple of months ago, Sony said, yeah, crossplay is available, but it's okay. And I found that really remarkable because, again, it goes back to them saying they're for the gamers. Well, if you are, then working with other companies would be more beneficial to you because you would stand true to your word. And here we are, and we're not seeing that. So it's fun to watch it go back and forth, especially now that we've evolved into, you know, a more evolved gaming platform. We're on a new core system for Xbox One. We're on a totally different code base for PlayStation. Now we're seeing it combined. So the question, Rushpock, do you think cross-platform helps close the economic gap? I always feel it's too expensive to be a PC gamer. So I got to preface by saying that, let me answer it from a press standpoint, as a journalist that has analyzed NPD numbers for a long time and kind of has seen where things go. It's not as expensive to be a PC gamer as people think. But people don't want to build their own rigs sometimes, and that's where the cost can come down, is if you build your own. People have built what they call like a console killer or a Steam killer or a PC or an Xbox One killer, whatever it might be, for $500 or $600, and you can have a good gaming experience, good to great gaming experience on those devices. My rig is about $1,200, but I used it for so much more than just gaming that it would be overkill for just a gamer. So I think the notion, I think it's out there in the public. It's like a misnomer, or it's a false belief that it's expensive to be a PC gamer. I think it can be a little expensive, but if your budget allows for it, it can be a super good investment to make, because you can always make upgrades to your box as long as you build something in today's standard and not yesterday's standard, right? So to answer the first question, I do feel that it does close the economic gap because you have the ability with Consoles now, they have all these different websites you can go to, either pay monthly, or even with Amazon or eBay, even pay monthly, bill me later. PayPal has that option, or even lease or rent to own consoles. And you don't see that really with PCs too much unless you get into like a home shopping network, or you have a good enough credit to get like a $600 or $700 or $800 pre-built machine. I think that does help, because most people do have a console in their home, and the less people are having PCs in their home. It's not the end of PCs. I don't know why people in the tech industry keep saying that. PCs are here to stay, but I do feel that this does bridge the gap to a degree where you don't have to buy the game twice. And I'm the number one worst person to do that, because I will buy a game twice because I want to play it with my PC friends and my Xbox friends. Overwatch is going to be a good example of that. I want it on both platforms because Jeff and Maxwell play it on PC, but half my other friends play it on Xbox, and I find that to be problematic because I want that community to live together. Gaming is about community, and despite what the trolls and the griefers and all those people that exist in their poor, sad little basement worlds that they are, I think that in the end, gaming is a community thing. That's why things like league gaming exists. That's why things like esports exist. And competitive or not, you're there to play together. Why do you fragment that? And back in the day, it used to make sense when you had different platforms, they were offline. So you only got, NBA Jam for Sega because that's all they made it for. And you only got Mario for Nintendo because that's all they made it for. Now you can get FIFA on every platform. You can get Metal Gear on every platform. There's so much going on. And Mr. Teal, you bring up a great point. That's exactly what it is crossplay gives you the ability for friends to come together to play. Sony's better, Xbox is better, PC's better, PC Master, it doesn't matter anymore. You can just play your game, and you're going to have a great experience for yourself, and that's all that matters, is what is important to you as yourself, as the person who's spending your money. What are you going to do? Are you going to have a good time? You're not going to buy something to have a bad time, unless we can get into some sports franchise reasons of that at another time. That withstanding, and the general reason you buy a game is to have a good time, so buy it on what makes you happy. Don't listen to what other people say. If you want to buy it on the Xbox, buy it on the Xbox. But now you can play it with people on PC. And the Forza Horizon 3, oh my goodness gracious. And I wish sometimes as a brand ambassador, as an influencer, as someone who does this in different capacities, I wish I could be backstage in the pre-production meetings weeks before the event and read the script and go, hey, this thing here that you're not really highlighting, you should really make a big deal about because people are going to care about it. During the Forza presentation, and I sometimes call it Forza because Italian, I'm first generation Italian here, or American here, so it comes out from time to time. But the number one thing they should have mentioned is look at what's going on. You have someone on the Xbox playing on their controller. You have someone on the PC playing with a mouse and keyboard. You have someone playing with a controller, someone playing with a racing wheel. Like, you can literally play this game however you want to, and no one's going to know the wiser, and no one's going to care as long as you're able to jump in and play. And that's what's huge. And I think they missed that bullet point, but it's not a knock on them because there were like 85 other positive bullet points in the presentation that I couldn't find a bad thing about the presentation that really rubbed me the complete wrong way. And that's happened to me in the past at Xbox and Sony presentations. But at more recently at Xbox presentations, there were things that were like, wow, why'd you focus on that point, right? I just wanted that to be underlined a little bit more, to be like, you can play it how you want to. It's to just emphasize crossplay. You can literally play it how you want to play it. And that's kind of why crossplay exists. I feel like those undertones are sometimes missed, and they can be really important for gamers who are on the fence to really buy into your platform or ecosystem. I feel like that's huge. Yeah, it's a good point, Rush. You want to play with Jeff, and you can't because he's on PC, you're on Xbox. You have a laptop. It's not the highest laptop, so it probably wouldn't play Overwatch very well. My laptop's made just for production. It won't play Overwatch very well. It doesn't have a strong graphics card in it. I'd have to play on my PC. Or can I just take my Xbox, throw it in a games case, play with a small screen, and have a blast? And yeah, backwards compatibility just went hand in hand with that. And I think all of these factors together, and you get into things like Minecraft getting Xbox Live cross compatibility, and Project Scorpio allowing gamers to really play in every way imaginable to 4K levels now, and now we're moving on past that. There's so many options right now in the market for gamers, and Microsoft literally cornered 80% of them and said, we're all friends. What's up? And I think that's great. Like, and they've opened the door for the other 20% to join them and say, you're cool too. Come on and play, and let's have a good time. And I think that's where we should have been a couple of years ago, but I understand there was a lot of public relation and uncertainty in the console space at the time of belief in a new system and how long will this last and why don't we just get a PC. There was a lot of that going on, and I think it got lost in translation. And now we have time to sit there and go, let's go back and remember why we play video games. And it's such a stupid thing to say, but it really does hold true and ring true to what people play games for. They play games because they're gamers and they love to relax and have a good time and play games. And I think you just get lost in the muck that can be the gaming community sometimes, that you forget that outside anonymity and people typing stupid things online, they're still playing a game that they spent money on. And allowing them to do that how they want to do that, I think, is number one, big bold letters, H1 header on a website, important. And I feel like Microsoft knocked it out of the park today with that. Everything they've introduced is available now or will be in the future, and they have dates on them. That was important because it wasn't just coming soon. It was dates on things, tangible times to do stuff. And I feel like the games boosted the belief in the ecosystem. I can't remember how many times I heard Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive. And I was like, wow, this is like 90 times, right? You heard it almost a dozen times in the presentation. And they made it a point to believe in that. And I think that speaks volumes to put the rumors to bed that the Xbox system is something that's going away. And, because Windows Mobile is going away because they sold off the phone system and Xbox isn't doing so well, so they might spin that off too. And that puts all those rumors to bed because, look, you can play on both now. We believe in both. We're working actively on introducing all of these cool Windows 10 features over to the Xbox. You wouldn't spend that much manpower and resource in all these things if you didn't believe in the system. And I think tomorrow at the Nintendo presentation, you'll see a belief in their ecosystem as well, where you can have some more cross stuff with the 3DS and things like that. Why does your laptop keep randomly disconnecting Wi-Fi? Okay, let's change gears real quick. Welcome to PC Tech Help. I am F5 Penguin. How may I help you? No, why does it keep disconnecting from Wi-Fi? Could be a driver issue. It could be signal issue. If none of your other devices are doing it, it could be 1.5 million things, Rush. I can help you out with that later on tonight if you would like. I'd be more than happy to, and we can figure out why that laptop is giving you some trouble. That was, I believe, a refurbished unit. So if the Wi-Fi card is acting up or something, I can always get you hooked up with another one. Easy, not a problem. We will figure it out, man. We will get that taken care of for you, I promise. Thank you for your support, by the way, as we move into the second half of the show. I want to thank you. I didn't know. Did you try turning Huffman back on again? Exactly. That's always step one with Rush, but he hates when I say that. I want to thank you guys. I wasn't sure, and I sent in an email when Master Discord messaged me first about this opportunity. I said, what kind of show do you want me to do? I do so many shows. I don't know what you're looking for. And I never heard back, with a definitive outline of the show. But this is my style. And we play games, and we play, bad FIFA, and we play out of the park baseball. We play Battlefield. We try to steal tanks. I'm a terrible gamer. I love gaming. I'm like the worst at it. I'm mediocre at best. And I said, let me just do what I do. And what I do is, this is a typical night, is we'll talk and we'll have a good time and I'll answer questions and I'll give feedback and we'll jump into conversation. And then Sometimes we pick up video games. Needs more dancing. Needs more. Do I ever dance on? I don't think. I think I danced a couple of times in my chair when I was DJing, but outside of that, I don't think I dance. DDR arm out. I think I have some DDR music. Let me see if I can pull it up because I actually co-own the formerly number two largest DDR media website on the planet. That so much so that Konami was like, "Yo, you're pretty good." Here, I got some stuff we can do. Let's see if I can just hit play on this. I don't even know if it's gonna work. I don't even know if it's gonna work. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. You're making me search for things now. I'm digging through my crate of stuff on the websites. Let's see if this is the right one. Hold on. I gotta wait. Okay, I got one for you. This is the fifth mix. So let's just do it because I have the rights to this stuff, so I can actually play this. This is what's true. Yeah. So I know that I was supposed. The community guidelines say, hey, play Xbox games only for this particular thing, but there's some DDR music. This is the mega mix. Is it good? I like it. It's a pretty good song. I'm just gonna leave that up. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of. Yeah, and I like that, Teal. I think that's amazing because there's so much noise out there right now, right? You look at the top streamers right now on Twitch or the top streamers on YouTube, and it's a lot of just screaming and yelling. And I feel like that's great for the sub-millennial, like the younger generation, and that's amazing that we have a younger generation of gamers who care so deeply about games. But at some point, there's an older generation that's like, bro, that's not really something that I'm into. Can I get a little bit of a different vibe? And I feel like that's huge. There's a huge portion of gamers are actually in their 30s and 40s because they were playing when they were in their teens, from the old like Atari and the Dreamcast and the original Nintendo and the ColecoVision and the Commodore and all those platforms. They were playing those platforms, and now they're much older and they want a different experience. I want to be like that bridge, right? Bring the younger guys and the older guys. I got guys some night that play NHL that they're like 12, 13, 14, 15 watching us, and we're having a good old time, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, shouldn't you be in bed? They said, no, Penguin, you're great. It's like, awesome. Only people that tell me I'm great. No one here tells me I'm great. Mods. I remember that night. Remember that night we had like 35 to 40 hardcore hockey players all chatting about the future of the game, and we had a conversation till like 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, we're ending the stream at 1. It ended at like 3 o'clock. I was exhausted the next morning with the 2 kids. I think I was up at 4:30. It was crazy. F5 wants to be Jimmy Fallon. Seriously, guys. Seriously. Oh my God. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can't believe it. No, it's my Fallon. It's pretty terrible. I can't listen to that anymore. It's getting me too hype mode. What do you want to do? We want to play some Battlefield? Who's online right now? We can jump into a Battlefield, or we can play some bad FIFA with Rushpak, or we could talk about some more things about E3, because I am excited. We do end the show tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time, which is just in time for the other guy's presentation. He hasn't slow jam E3 yet, so we're safe. Yeah, not enough hair. All valid points. It is receding just a little bit. The other presentation is at 9, and I'm really excited to see this because most of the time, Microsoft puts on a presentation at noon, our time, and it leaves enough time, about 9 hours worth, for Sony to go, okay, what did they do well, what didn't they do well, and what can we change? And I feel like that's how the PlayStation Move got rushed up to the front. Kinect was launched, and Move wasn't even ready for demo. They had 2 pre-alpha demos, and that was it. And they rushed that thing onto stage, and those ice cream cones, glowing ice cream cone sticks, they did not hold up well, and it proved it in the sales, right? And other years, they do so many good things that Sony just has to play catch up, like that. Other times, they do the price cut announcement, and the DRM free announcement, and the online free announcement when they were going to announce PlayStation Plus and charge. They decided to put a hold on that for about an hour into their presentation until the end. Like, all of those things are interesting chess moves that they make. And I find it fascinating as both a gamer and as just a person of the tenacity of, not the tenacity, the bravado and courageousness that Microsoft has to always go first every time at E3 of the three big companies. And then Sony goes on 9 hours later, and it's always been that way, and it's fascinating because it gives you enough time to leave and head down to the food thing. And I'll tell you, Sony puts on a heck of a pre-show. And when I say pre-show, I mean free food and drink. And it's not just beer and wine. It's like a full liquor bar. 16 or 17 tents. What's up, Hope? How's it going, man? Good to see you tonight. I appreciate you joining in. Say hello to everybody else by saying hello, everybody else. And they liquor you up, and they give you so much good food. I had lobster mac and cheese, and like they had filet mignon steak tacos. Like, it was so much things. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then you go inside, and you're like, I'm ready for a good time. Like, I feel great. I sat third row. It was incredible. At Microsoft, you had coffee, but they blew you away with the performance. Like, it's interesting to me. They set the tone for the evening, right? This is crazy. And if you go on Twitter right now, you can search E3 2016, and you can see the party, the fiesta that is a Sony pre-show outside I believe it's not the Dodgers. It's a minor league team that plays at the ballpark, and then there's an arena next to it that they go in that actually holds, or used to hold hockey, holds like 10,000 people. I was gushing, but you can look at me and know that I am the biggest critic of Microsoft stuff because I use it all the time. Windows Phone 8 could have been one of the biggest headaches of my life. I loved the phone so much. But I hated that fact I couldn't stay up with the ecosystem because everyone else was using apps that weren't available for me. It's frustrating. Same could be said for Windows 8. I stuck out with Windows 8 for as long as I possibly could. And I'm glad they finally went to 8.1 and added the start button back and gave me a menu. You know, like, it's just, all of these things is like, I am their biggest critic. Okay, Azure at first was not the best thing to use, and now it is like the #1 favorite platform I have for cloud computing. For a while, I was happy using, like SoftLayer and IBM's Watson platform instead of using like Cortana's deep learning. And that's all on software enterprise level stuff. I will be their biggest critic, but I'll also be their biggest fan when they do something amazing like today's presentation. I thought it was ballpark, knockout, home run, slam dunk, field goal, touchdown, volleyball, ace, strike, game over, checkmate. For YOLO, blaze it, swag. Is that what the cool kids say? See, I'm not a millennial. I'm like a pager-wearing millennial. That's what they... 28, right? So, yeah, I agree with you, Hope. I think it was fantastic. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen tonight because Microsoft, they've now set the tone. They've set the bar. What's going to happen next? And I can't even say they set the bar because yesterday EA kind of set the bar, right? EA Sports, EA as a whole, DICE, the entire company of Electronic Arts has really changed from being the America's worst company 3 years running back in like 2012, 13, and 14 to now they're starting to turn the tide. And I have to say that's because of Andrew Wilson, the CEO of the company, really has shifted just the culture of what EA is doing as a whole. They've opened up the doors to transparency on some studios, and good Lord, have they not listened to their fans with the big titles? I think the big titles, for sure, they listen to them. And I think that, not biased there at all, Teal, right? Oh, man, it's funny. I really think they have allowed enough input, and I'm not talking game changers, because I still believe that game changers thing is a lot of, I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but a lot of predetermined pathfinding. So, you have a forest, and on the other side of the forest is the answer of what you're trying to do. And instead of being able to figure out your way through the forest on yourself, by your own self and your own decision making, they kind of guide you down a couple of paths they've already carved, and you all get to the same result at the end, but you feel like the path is a path that you've chosen to get there. And I don't know, reserving that, I feel like they've listened to at least the core fans, hardcore gamers, the audience fans, the people who believe in the product, and less of the shareholders. And I think that's the key, to really drive something more positive and something that really can blow things out of the water. And FIFA 17 story mode is a great example of that. Great example of that. Something that can really change the shift, really drive something home for gaming. And I think that's huge. Guys who get free hut cards, FUT cards, MUT cards, whatever you want, that's all commercial. That's fine. You need eyes on your product. You need eyes on your product to make money. People have to make money. I get it. I'm okay with that. I am the first one to believe in capitalism. It's amazing. But at the same time, you have to have substance. And Mr. Teal, I did not know you played hockey. I will take this time right now to have Nightbot tweet you something or post you something. I don't know what they say. Let me see if I can actually have it come up here. Commands? No, dashboard. How do I use the new dashboard? I know, I'm doing timers. And this one. Boom. I'm about to paste you something fierce. Mr. Teal, have that. I'm the media director for LeagueGaming.com. Almost everybody here is part of LeagueGaming.com or has been at one point. #1 esports website for sports games on the planet. 15,000 members and counting. Been around for 12 years. Sign up. It's free. That's my plug for LG for the night. Boom. Nailed it. Write that non-existent check. I'm happy about that. Yeah, EA Access is free during E3 if you have it already, and I think almost every one of us here has it at least. What a value, because that's how I'm playing Battlefield 4. That's how I'm playing FIFA right now, is through Access. There's so many games I wouldn't have even tried to play had it not been for Access. Yeah, also a Pokemon League and a Rocket League, and it used to be a Smite League and a Call of Duty League. I don't think those exist anymore. There's a golf league for the golf tour, but not for PGA, EA Sports PGA. And Rush brings up a good point. Rocket League is a sport. Thank you very much. I sweat when I play Rocket League. Pepperoni grease everywhere. So, yeah, EA Access is like #1. What a great idea. What a great idea. Give people free games for $30 a year. It's like, these people weren't going to buy your game anyway. You might as well have them play, and if they get DLC or extra content or play the game and do some things with it and buy next year's game, you just gave them a commercial to buy your product, guaranteed. If they like this year's, they're going to buy next year's. It's proof in the pudding. It's such a brilliant concept. It's like, wow, why wasn't this around earlier? It's so amazing. Yeah, and crossplay, I'll play some Rocket League later. Heck, I think we can probably play some Rocket League now if you wanted to. Oh no, this machine doesn't have Rocket League installed yet. I redid the entire production machine, so this particular machine I'm streaming on does not have Rocket League. I have to install it tonight, and then we'll play for sure. Saw the quarterfinals. Yeah, so let me ask Hope this question, because I found that as Hope a big Madden guy. Let me ask you this: was it not, as a gamer, frustrating to you that EA says, EA Sports, best #1 franchise, true to life simulation sports series is Madden, right? That's what Madden is, true to life sports simulation. The 2 times they showed that #1 player in Madden, he did a rollout to the left with a right-handed quarterback and threw a bullet across the field for a touchdown. Was that not weird for you? It's like they could have showed a million other plays and they went with the same play twice. It was an interesting thing that I noticed, that I thought that the editing team could have done a little bit better with, I suppose. Outside of that, though, don't get me wrong. The game is remarkable. and I'm really excited for the new color commentary. I find that fascinating, and it looks to be a promising title. I've been interested in Madden again for about 1.5 to 2 years after not being a big fan for about 4. So I just found that an interesting nod is all. Fascinating stuff. You all bring up good points. Crease Police, J Dollar brings up a good point. Competitive gaming, though, will always be, especially one-on-one, when there's other AI, when there's artificial intelligence controlling a game, it will always be exploiting that part of the game. Because you can't exploit a human, because you can't account for the human. And that's why I fully believe that LeagueGaming.com, and this was an unintentional mention of the website, but I'm going to mention it because it's important. It requires every position on the ice to be filled. Every position on the field for FIFA to be filled. I think it's 8v8 now is the requirement. So like if you can't field the full 11, you can do 8 on the team for the league game, and you can be fine with that. But still holds true that the majority of players on the field will be human controlled. Can't exploit humans. You can exploit stupid humans, but you can't exploit humans in general. So I think that's what makes the difference between games, makes games more worthwhile, and makes games more fun is people. Again, gaming is a community. You play to have fun. I think versus modes are too easily manipulated, and then when you get into things like MUT and FUT and HUT, it's just it's the exploitation of the computer and the core mechanics of the game, combined with the cash grab that is that business model. But do not get me wrong, the fact that business model accounts for 1/4, 3 game modes. I'll say it again because I think I said this maybe a month ago. I covered this in a story I wrote. 3 game modes: MUT, HUT, and FUT. The Ultimate Team Series. It's 3 titles. From EA Sports, which is a subdivision of Electronic Arts as a whole, which is DICE and Maxis and all of those companies. They put out like 70 games a year. 3 game modes equate for 1/4 of EA's entire revenue for the year. That's insane. So no, I cannot fault them for putting their efforts into those modes that drive their bottom line. But if I could just have some freaking accountability and some transparency on those game modes, I would be so much happier. And that's why I can't hate that they exist. I can only hate the existence of which they've become. If that makes any sense. And I think that's what's huge. And I do agree, J Dollar, I do agree. The most popular esports games for team games are sports games in 1v1. Which is funny because there's a lot of team games that are not sports games that are team-based. Counter-Strike, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Dota 2, and the list goes on. It's so ironic that a team-based sports game is single-player competitive. I agree with you. I agree with you. But that's exactly what it is. It is 100% a combination of those two things on a grand level. And I find it a truly impressive feat that they've been able to take that core business model and blow it up and make it work. And it's driving their bottom line. It's creating more games. Things like Battlefield 1 can't be possible if you don't have a bottom line to drive it. Because they had to build an engine in Battlefield 3, they had to build a new engine from the scratch and use it to its entirety and push the system of current gen gaming to work for something like that is incredible from a developing standpoint, let alone from a marketing and a retail perspective and making it work logistically. Just from a development perspective, having the income to be able to make that a reality is huge. It's a huge undertaking. We'll include bad FIFA mode that locks sliders all the way down. Let's do that, Rush. Let's take every slider, put everything on manual, and then take all the sliders and put them down and then play, and then see how unplayable it is. And that is a hope. I don't have knowledge on this hope if Madden is going to be 11v11. They did make mention that team-based esports is going to be a thing in Madden. Will we see it 11v11? Or even maybe, like, I'd be fine if they did what you do for flag football. 8v8 or 5v5 even. And you just shrunk the field down a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100% authentic. Or do you just let the guards and the tackles and the D-line be AI controlled? Because if you do one side AI controlled, you have to do the other side to make it even, right? Or not. There's ways to make that work where you don't have to have every position covered, because that'd be kind of boring to just be a left guard. I can't see that being pretty exciting. Or what about the punter? Who would be the punter? The quarterback? There's a lot happening. There's too many variables to make that, I think, full 11v11. But I do think that it could be close, and I'd be okay with that. Yeah, EA's mobile division is definitely a good point as well. But if you look at the mobile division, it mimics almost exactly what, say, King or PopCap or Zynga was doing back in the craze. That quick DLC type revenue, which is short-lived. And that's the problem with mobile games, is it's a hype train for a little bit, no sustainability. Even games like SimCity, no sustainability with the mobile versions. They even killed one of the Facebook versions. So I think there is, you have a lot of quick money real quick and nothing that's long-term. With Hut and Mutt and Fut, you always have long-term revenue. I just wish they put more effort into the game itself to really drive that home. I think that's huge. 3v3. Really? So that's what they do, and they did 3v3 in Madden 25, right, for the 360s. That was online team play 3v3. Oh, but you're saying for baseball. Got it. I'm with you. That is a good idea, actually. I like that. Player choosing field play. I love that idea. You should be a game changer, J Dollar. You should apply sometime. I know you've never applied before. You should totally apply and be a game changer. It would be amazing. That's a really good idea. But is there I don't think EA has a baseball game anymore, do they, though? I know that the show is kind of what has stolen, for lack of a better term, the show when it comes to baseball. Does EA even have one now? I think they used to. Yeah, they used to. They had, what's the title? Take-Two did one. 989 did one. All-Star Baseball. And that was back in, like, 03. I don't think EA has done a baseball in, like, ever, right? Not that I can think of. Took you months to get over it. I know the pain, man. I was passed over twice. I was passed over twice, man. I get it. I would play baseball in OTP for real. Because even the show doesn't have OTP, right? It's just 1v1. It'd be so much more fun with people. I totally agree with you. Even if you did like 6 innings instead of 9, it would still be a remarkable experience. MVP Baseball was EA 2005? Yeah, I think so. EA MVP Baseball. Let us see. 2003 to 2007. Exclusive licensing deal between MLB and Take-Two in 2005 prohibited MLB from making another game until 2012. In response, EA made NCAA college baseball in 06 and 07, discontinued in 08 because of poor sales. And then in South Korea, EA has released 3 games called MVP Baseball Online 2012 to 2014. After the failure of NBA Live 14, the new next-gen Ignite engine, EA is looking to build a new game, but not under MVP Baseball. And then in 2011, they released an MLB licensed game for Facebook called World Series Superstars, which simulates team management. So that's interesting that in 2005, does anyone else remember what happened in 05? Anyone else? I'll give you guys a second. Does anybody else remember what happened in 05 as far as licensing in sports are concerned? because this is actually kind of an interesting topic and explains a lot of things. I didn't know about the MVP deal, MLB deal with Take-Two. Yeah, and before you start, I am super excited about the Frostbite engine. Oh my gosh. I have been excited about the Frostbite engine since Battlefield 3. And I watched the 15-minute in-game, non-rendered cinematic trailer for Battlefield 3, and I was hype trained it. But yes, Rushpock has it right. The NFL exclusive license that prevented 2K, Take-Two, from making any more football games. So Take-Two did that back to EA in the same year for MLB. Imagine if those tides were turned. Where would we be? Like, it's the multi-dimensional thing. Where would we be had that not been a thing? Where would we be if MLB went to EA and NFL went to 2K? It would be remarkable. 2K wouldn't have been in this umbrella now. They kind of just operate underneath people instead of as their own independent publishing company. And speaking of which, EA just created yesterday, their own indie publishing, developing sub-umbrella thing. Incredible. I love it. It's like the ID at Xbox or independent Xbox program. I think it's a fantastic thing when independent gamers can have the financial backing and resources and expertise to build their own games under the guise of someone who's done it before. It's incredible. I think that's huge. So yeah, that was huge. What does Frostbite mean for the rest of the sports titles? It means everything. This is incredible for EA because what it's doing is it's taking the cost, okay? The cost of not only maintaining and supporting multiple game engines, but providing knowledge and trained staff in those particular games. Serp, you're like an hour late, dude. Welcome to the stream, bud. I appreciate you being here. It removes that hope. So what that does is it allows for cross-training, number one, which is huge. A developer that can be cross-trained in multiple games is a more seasoned and experienced and more rapid evolving developer. Number two, it means teams can be agile. They don't have to have the issue EA had with NHL and UFC where they got pulled off to work on UFC, totally different engine, and come back to work on NHL and design NHL on a new game platform, let alone a new code base. So Frostbite being outside the fact that everyone's going to make fun of it being just destructible environments, J$, everyone else is making that joke too on Facebook and on Twitter. What it means is a true mathematical and scientific physics-driven engine. So in gaming, you have like two modes of physics. You have ragdoll physics or like actual physics, and actual physics are much more taxing and much more harder on the console. You need a lot more power to run them. You need a lot more intelligent developers and a lot more resources to make those things work. So it costs more money. And now that everyone's going to be moving to Frostbite, that's going to be like EA's one game engine for every game they make. And DICE took a little idea from Battlefield 1943, that $200,000. DICE is an amazing story, and I'll wrap with this because I know Teal's going to give me the yank here in about 60 seconds. DICE was a company that came into EA under an independent game studio for $200,000, made Battlefield 1943 just to see if they could. It netted them $1.9 million. It was incredible. And that's the reason the Frostbite engine got to be as big as it is. And now that they keep growing this to include things like sports titles, probably action games, and role-playing games, and they can make this thing work for anything. You come into work for EA, and all you have to do is learn one engine, and you can make every game. Imagine the possibilities that anybody coming to EA with an idea can do. And that's where their independent thing that they announced yesterday comes into play. I want to thank all the little people to make this happen. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank God. Okay, no, but I will wrap by saying that. So the fact that No Name Joe from Boise, Idaho can say, I got an idea for a game. Here's my idea, EA. What do you think? And they say, yeah, come on. And all you have to do is learn Frostbite, and you can build your game because they're going to give you that resource, that SDK, the software development kit, to build it. You're like 9 steps ahead of anybody else, A, that has to build their own engine, which is the #1 cost-sucking aspect aside from marketing that any game has to go through is an engine. What engine do you want to use? Or do you have to build your own? Most people build their own now. Or they use something free. And when you use those free engines, things like Goat Simulator exists, which is a great game, but it's a very boxed game. You know what you're going to get with that, and you can't do too much more. Instead, you get this plethora of options, and you can really do something great with the game and really drive something home that you could otherwise not do without the resources and money, straight up money, let's just call it money, that other game studios would not be able to have if they're not under an umbrella. So the combination of these things are huge. Do I see it happening for NHL? Obviously not this year, probably not next year, probably the year after, truth be told. Rory McIlroy Golf got it because golf is an easy game. It's a box game, but in a good way. It's a very straightforward game. There's only so much you can do in a game like golf. FIFA is a lot more in depth, as you can imagine. There's a lot more moving pieces. NHL, aside from the fact that everyone's going to smash and hate on the developers for NHL, it's hard to program a hockey game. In the same way that it's hard to program a baseball game. Objects move very fast. There's a lot of little objects. In FIFA, you're only controlling like your feet and stuff. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. And thank you. I agree, too. And if this goes well, Teal will be able to tell you. If this goes well, I'll have a lot more viewers on another channel very, very soon. I'm hoping that this all went well. So I appreciate your support. Thank you. In baseball and in hockey, you have a thing moving at 100 miles an hour that's bouncing off of other things, moving at 20 to 30 miles an hour, or however fast hockey skaters skate. How fast do they skate? I don't know. And then you have objects on the sides that you have to deal with. Boards. Boards are hard. Solid objects that things bounce off of is one of the hardest things in programming to do. To know that that's a thing, and you have to build 6,000 animations to account for that one thing. Let alone the fact that if you're up in the wall or in the corner or in the dasher or on the bench or where there's glass or where there's not glass or wherever else there is things, you have to account for that. That's kind of challenging. Yeah, I know I'm competing with the Warriors, but not ending well. The content. I'm talking about the content ending well, like the actual substance of the stuff, so then I can do something bigger on a larger channel on a different night. But this was also the night of E3 being kicked off, so I thought this was a good night to do this. Out of all the options I had to choose from, I had this as an option. I thought this was a key time. So, yeah, that's what's frustrating. The boards eating the puck frustrate me. Delay of games are frustrating. The stick is frustrating. Getting your stick stuck in the boards. Have you ever had that happen? That's super frustrating. That's hard to program for when you only have 30 to 40 animations for a player in the boards. Well, what happens if your player moves this way with one guy this way and the puck here? And there's no loose puck physics, even though they say there are. There's not really loose puck physics. So puck has to do something. Stick has to do something. What does it do? And instead, you just morph. So you don't actually, it doesn't account for the board. It just morphs. And that's why you have problems that you have right now in games like NHL. And for a while, you had problems like that with the show when it first started. The same thing. Bats were going through balls in some instant replays, and catchers weren't making throws. And like there were some problems when the show first came out that were quickly fixed because you're a first-party developer with a first-party software, Sony to Sony. It's easy. You can account for some things because you have more money and more resources with a new studio like that. So it just goes to show that there's a lot to go into it, but with Frostbite, you now have the resources of a tried and true engine with people who are knowledgeable in the product that can come over and help you. And before, what you had is Ignite that was being passed around from Madden to FIFA, then to NHL. And you don't really have guys that know the engine inside and out because people are still learning it. And then they switch to something new, and they switch to something new. And Ignite was only around for 3 game cycles, 2 or 3 game cycles, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 4 game cycles. Sorry. So you change so fast. But Battlefield 3 has been around for the same length of time, and now is going to be used in new games and new titles for the future. You have that much more time to really deal with and learn a brand new infrastructure and take time with it and figure it out. So I think the developers for NHL could probably start messing with Frostbite here in the interim, but we won't see it in next year's title. I'm not saying September. I'm saying the following years, 18. I definitely can see it in 19 if things go well. But we have got to break 1 million in sales again. And that's going to be the problem for the NHL franchise is you got to get sales numbers to really drive that home. I pulled up the numbers the other day. I'll do it again. NHL did not sell very well. Sold more than UFC, though. And that was what was important. NHL 16. Not NHL 16. That's a bad spelling. NHL 16 sold, according to NPD, which I believe there's some other websites that get the same data. But NPD is the reporting group for video game sales or any media sales really in the country, at least for US here, if the website will load. I think they sold just under 1 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be the thing I'm going to find out for you. At any rate, though, that is the deciding factor. How much money can they actually make from a game that they spend time investing in? But if you don't have to build a new engine, you save a lot of costs. So it's good stuff. They sold 690,000 copies to date on current gen PS4, Xbox One in North America. All in Europe and rest of the world, 1.08 million. So just over 1 mil. Yeah, so those numbers do not include, those are purchase numbers, digital and physical copies purchase numbers from retailer reporting. So all the stores and stuff. It does not include in-app purchases, so things like Access and wherever else you might be able to buy a game through an in-app purchase would not count. There was a reason, I wrote the article on it, now I gotta go find that, but there was a reason that they don't have to do it anymore. I don't remember what it was. I can do a quick search and find the article. I wrote it many, many years ago. NPD reporting. Let me just type that. Let's see. I'm trying to find the article now at this point. Games. Microsoft boasts sales numbers amid NPD report changes. Yeah, so NPD has now changed the way. I wrote this in 2010. Oh my goodness, it's been 6 years since we had to do that. Game companies can either be forthcoming with good and bad information, skew the numbers to only make them look good, not say anything at all. NPD's new reports do not give anything remotely fulfilling to us, which now puts the value and ethics onto the companies. Right. So basically, NPD said we're not going to force you to. Basically, we're not going to give numbers to the press unless you give us numbers. Before we had to bug you for it, and you got mad about it. So now you will only get numbers if you give us numbers. We'll give the press numbers. The only difference is they will get manufacturers' top 10 list of softwares. That's decided by retailers. So Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, whatever else companies, EB Games, those type of companies. When you buy games from there, the retailers have to report how many were sold. Before, manufacturers can present to you how many were shipped. And that was the number people used for a long time, is how many games were shipped to stores. With the advent of digital technology, that kind of is like a skewed number. And before digital went huge, back in 2010, obviously here. So NPD said, we're no longer going to require that. If you want to do your own fact-finding and present numbers, you can do that. And that's why we see things like Xbox saying, we're the #1 sale for this, and then they limit the ability there. So they limit what that actually means. Thank you, Teal. I hope you have a great time. I hope you will watch me again soon. We'll do this again. Make sure you follow me on YouTube and on